Hey everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this documentary that I made. I just wanted to give you a quick heads up that viewer discretion is advised. There is subject matter containing self-harm and unaliving yourself. And I did go ahead and add some subtitles in the bottom that will warn you when that subject matter is coming up in case you don't want to watch it or listen to it. I also just wanted to give you a quick reminder that if you enjoy my content, if you enjoy this documentary, please consider subscribing to the channel below. This is where I'll be posting all of the documentary episodes moving forward. It would really help me a lot if you could give it a like, maybe leave a comment, and I guess ringing the bell does something too. I don't know how much the bell helps, but I guess hit the bell. Anyway, I've talked enough. Thank you so much and enjoy the documentary.
I want to show that you can do this and not follow rules and still get a result. The whole point is to figure out what you need to do to get better results. And if we're always following rules and never breaking them, we're never learning the extent of what we're capable of.
Oh no.
One more time. Wasn't recording audio. Okay, sorry.
Okay, yeah, you're good.
Can you tell we're amateurs?
Who I am, what I do, and what my purpose is on this earth. Wow, that's a tall ask. Wow, that is a huge question. Who I am is an anxious man that is constantly seeking who he actually is at any given point. But in reality, I am a musician, I'm an artist, I'm a producer, I'm an audio engineer, I am a consultant, I am a friend, I am an uncle, and I am a son. What I do, I do a lot of things. What I consider what I do is a little more ambiguous. It's not necessarily, sure, you can hire me for any of what I just mentioned. I'm much more anomalous in that I can kind of flow between tasks. I can kind of flow between duties. My main thing is figuring out what we need to solve problems, whether they be personal problems, whether they be economic problems, whether they be creative problems. I am genuinely a problem solver and a people lover. I was put on this earth to show people they can do it despite their own mental beliefs. It is so easy for us to get overwhelmed, to feel the pressure of doing things like other people have told us. We're all born with no idea of what we're doing on this earth. And so I found that I cannot just align with anybody's way. And I have to figure out what it is that I'm doing through all my idiosyncrasies. Sometimes I need to fixate on things that don't actually matter to the bigger picture. I'm looking at being as honest with myself. And I recognize, especially for men, even more specifically for Black men, there are a lot of us that are kind of shoehorned into specific images and ideologies. And I'm here to help people recognize that they don't have to align with someone else's vision of who they are. When I was coming up, when I was learning my craft, starting as an electric bassist, I was following other people's lead. I recognized that I didn't know as much as the people I was playing with. So I would listen to them. And as time went on, I grew, got much better. And I was still following others. As a gigging musician, it's kind of the point. You have to follow somebody that's leading you. So I got used to that. Whenever I wasn't playing someone else's music, I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what I sounded like. I didn't know my preferences. I just knew what worked according to other people's metrics and their numbers and their statistics. Being a creative is very selfish because you're saying, this is what I believe is good. This is what I believe works in this time signature. This is what I believe works with these chords. You have to pull from yourself. You have to pull from what it is you know, because you're going to build into something, inorganic if you're pushing someone else's ideologies. If you've never challenged what it is that you believe, you're not a creative.
How did you get to the point where you were able to work with other musicians?
So I spent a lot of time alone. I don't recommend this, but when I started becoming a musician, I was really enamored with the theory. I was really enamored with the music theory, learning scales, modes, chord progressions, Nashville number system. I was obsessed with it all because I wanted to understand why certain colors, why certain progressions, why certain chords made me feel how they do. How does sound have the ability to alter my emotional state? I learned enough music theory to be able to talk with people. After learning that much, it took years, but I was focused. I wanted to collaborate with people. I finally felt brave enough. Now, I probably could have played with people much sooner, but don't shy away from moving in your timing, because your nervous system, although sure, question your nervous system, but your nervous system is here to take care of you. So as long as it doesn't seem out of line with your nervous system, listen to it. Moving in your time will make you move stronger. It'll make you feel more in tune with what it is you're even trying to do. Of course, you study on your own, but the biggest thing is get out there. Get out in the world, let people meet you, let people see your face, because as soon as you let people know that you are a creative, they're going to want to know what you do. They might want to do some work with you. There's nothing better than just getting out there and working with people and figuring out how to fly on the way down, figuratively speaking. And there's some kid out there. There's some kid out there that has not believed in themselves enough to know that they can do this too. There was a time where I believed I could.
What was something that you saw or you listened to that ignited that spark of you wanting to pursue music as a passion?
Oh, I love this question. I've actually always wanted to be asked this. Little known fact to people that I met later in life. I was a dancer before I was a musician. So music had been in my heart since I was a child. I was so in love with everything. I couldn't believe that someone could control my emotions through sound. My dad was the artist. He was the musician of the family. And he inspired me to become the musician during my time. When I made it to middle school, I met a dear friend of mine named Alfredo. This guy was playing guitar and he introduced me to the entire other side of music. We're talking metal. We're talking thrash. We're talking hardcore. I came from an R&B, jazz, hip hop guy straight into the world of the dark music. And I could not believe there was such energetic music. Just like how I preferred to dance, just like the emotions I had in dealing with life, there was a music that actually matched what it was that I was starting to go through. Found myself entering high school, and becoming interested in actually creating that music. I was still dancing. I got the opportunity to borrow a bass and used it until I ended up getting a bass and amp of my own my following year. And learning to play the music that attuned to my emotions. We're talking the depression, we're talking the suicide, we're talking the anxiety, we're talking the heartache, we're talking the hurt, the familial problems. There was so much music that was explaining things I was just starting to go through. It helped me to live. It helped me to live. I truly believe I survived because there was someone else out there that felt how I did. I wasn't alone. That really meant something to me. I wanted to turn that around because we lost so many people to that loneliness. So many people. There are people that are like me that don't believe there's anyone else that can align with them. And I want to reach those people. I get to see it happen. I get to see it happen so often through this. You know, there are a lot of families that are fine, but there are many families that are, not without problems. When you're a kid growing up, you don't have an instruction manual. You're doing things. You're kind of testing the waters for everything that you're doing. And for me, that included friendships, that included relationships. I'm learning. And even with family, I'm learning, I'm understanding. There are a lot of things I didn't know about myself. To strive to be the greatest son ever, to strive to be the nicest friend ever, in every attempt to be the most considerate human, I shied away from myself and I got used to silencing my own voice for the sake of other people looking at me as a great person. That will take its toll on you over time. I found myself finding it difficult to understand what it meant to be a man. My father, bless his heart, great person, not a great father. And he did his best, and I resented him for the longest time until I grew up and understood that he, just like I, didn't get an instruction manual to this. And that took a lot of time to be able to give up the anger caused by the fact that he didn't know what he was doing as a father. As time went on, I recognized that my sexuality was in the air. I didn't understand that. But in my environment as a Black man in the society I grew up in, you have to be straight or else. And I never wanted to find out what or else meant. So I couldn't ever embrace it. Women would call you names. Men would make fun of you for even having any sort of feelings. And I was in no mental capacity to handle any of that. It was a lot. And as time went on, you grow up and now you add on adult responsibilities. You add on deeper relationships, deeper relationship dynamics. You add on heartache, actual heartache, not just losing a relationship, but losing someone you cared about dearly. It becomes overwhelming and you never really know how to deal with it until you have to deal with it. When I found metal music, when I found alternative music, we're talking the good old days of Blink-182. We're talking Slipknot. Oh, geez. Papa Roach is how I entered the world. And then I went backwards. Then I came forward and I found all this scope of music that spoke to me in ways I didn't even know people spoke in public. And yeah, that was, geez, yeah, I could go on. That's.
You said you wanted to show me something with your bass?
Yes.
You want me to grab it? You're kind of locked in here.
I am. This guy here is tuned standard, but we have a high C instead of a low B.
Okay.
So it's so much better for chording. This is a bass. What does art mean to me? Art is giving a mic to the voice you didn't know you were listening to. Art is the insatiable desire to be busy. The art is the nature, the natural nature that you have to see, if that, then this. As you grow in life, you're learning. You're always learning. You're not necessarily learning a craft. You know, you may just be learning how to speak to people. You may be learning how to become aware of someone else's emotions in the moment. Regardless, we're always learning. Art, in and of itself, is our sandbox for that learning. So if I recognize that speaking negatively to my brother doesn't feel good, but I may still have some feelings about what he did, a safe place to play with those feelings, get them out, but not necessarily bash my brother, is art. Maybe there are feelings that you have, there are inclinations that you have where maybe you see a color and when you see this color, you get a particular feeling. So when I see yellow, I envision butterflies. I don't have a reason for it, but yellow means butterflies to me. It means the essence of butterflies. Well, what does yellow mean when it triggers the thought of butterflies and I'm listening to a particular chord? You know, what does that then translate? Because now we're mixing butterfly with tone. Art is the sandbox. It's the play place. It's the safe space. It's the place to return to when there's nowhere else. It's the platform to connect with others when there are no words, actions, insinuations that can connect you. We're all different. We're all different in numerous ways. We're all unique. Unless you're a twin, even if you're a twin, you're still unique in your own ways. Through all of those unique factors, we need something that connects us. And art, whether that be comedy, whether that be film, whether that be music, whether that be a lead engineer of a show, it is up to you to create the solution to a problem that exists. That problem could be as big as hosting a festival, or that problem could be as small as what color tablecloth to get for the baby shower. You know, creativity, art in and of itself is the expression of your own ideologies when all else fails. Wow. With everything that art, music, and creativity is for me, do I believe AI art is art? Man, this is a difficult area. Initially, this answer was very easy to me. It was a strict, stern no. There was absolutely no way that it was art. You're just putting in a prompt and having someone else do it for you. But I had to be educated. I have a relative, phenomenal producer, phenomenal, does not need the assistance of AI, but decided to utilize it just to test the ground. And he sat me down because he understood my concerns. He understood that, you know, there's no way that a computer doing it for you is any way from the heart. But he said, cousin, listen, there are some people that don't have access to the skills that you have. You know how difficult it was for you growing up, where you were discouraged and you didn't want to continue, but you forced yourself. There are different people these days that would like to know why they should get better. And they may not have access to everything that I have. And so there are elders that never got to hear their songs played by multiple musicians. There are so many people that aren't looking to take over the music world, but looking to be creative in a way they can actually manage. Not that I'm advocating for AI explicitly for those people, but what my cousin also did is he showed me something. He's been creating music for over a decade, 15 plus years. And he's phenomenal. He's great. I take lessons from him all the time. But what he started showing me is the capability of his songs when he would go to AI such as Suno for elements, not primary elements, but maybe he would like this part sung by a female. And he doesn't have access to a female at 11:42 p.m. So he would use AI to do this part. He would use AI to add this choir. He would use AI to mangle something he had. It would be in addition to his original work, to where there are AI elements. These are not dominating elements, and less than 50% of the song is prompted on AI. And when he showed it to me and showed me how powerful it could be to have access to elements that you as a producer don't have, or maybe skills you don't have. You know, maybe you haven't yet met a piano player that can play jazz. Maybe you haven't yet met a guitarist that can actually shred, but you got a guy that can play some chords. Creativity is limitless. And this AI boom, although I'm still not an advocate for it because of what it's doing to our environment, I recognize what it could be for the people that do not have the skills or talents yet to suffice on their own. Just like using MPC machines, samplers, you know, the computer itself, you know, if we really wanted to hold up the argument that AI is not a tool that should be used, then we need to remove the argument that NPCs are a tool that we could be used, that computer automation and programming are tools we should use, because we should be manually writing our automation in if we're talking about music isn't real when it's used, when it's filtered through tools. Now, of course, if somebody just puts in a prompt and pops out a song, fuck no. Fuck no, what is that? But for every good thing that happens in this world, there are bad apples trying to use it that way. So I do acknowledge both ends of the seesaw. AI is not creativity. AI can be used to be creative. And that's my stance.
Take 2, Pierre.
Finding a way to not only make AI pay for itself, that would be huge. For sure, for sure. That's not something any of us are actively looking for. That is a conglomerate interest. Most of us are not looking for what it provides. We're having fun with it like a TikTok, but there are people out here that are actually trying to do real work with this to see how this could benefit us. And we have these high hopes. We have, vastly high hopes for what it can do. We're not in the time frame for it to be able to do it in a way that won't destroy us long term. I think just like everything uncomfortable, we still do need to work with AI. We have intentions on it becoming a net positive. We are not there. I don't think any good marriage comes without investment when you can't see. It's kind of like what everybody that believes in a faith, it's kind of like what they hone in on. It's like sometimes you have to believe before you can actually see it. You have to do the work. You have to move forward as if it is reality so that you can have problems that you can then solve to find what reality actually will be. So while I definitely believe we should find a way for AI to fund itself, we all know that these corporations are not going to actively find the people that they're sourcing their data from and make sure that they are compensated. And it's all, and it happened too fast. So knowing that these corporations are going to push forward, at the very least, I believe that we should be finding alternative ways to make this equitable for everyone, not just the corporations, because they're going to figure that out, of course. They don't want to give us any reason that we want to pour into it as well. So don't hold your breath. Have we gone too far with AI? I don't think we've gone far enough. I think everything we've done from the revolution to now, everything we've done, in order to know how far is too far, we've had to push it. We've had to do too much. So we had to throw the tea into the river for people to, catch the point of, okay, what are we actually trying to get at? I can't stress it enough. I am not yet an advocate for AI, but I do like to look on all sides. I do like to consider all perspectives. And kind of as a masochist, in order to know what it is that we want from it, we do need to push it to see what actually will and won't work. Sadly, that's the part that's going to hurt us. So it's like getting tattoos. There may be a day where you get a tattoo in an area where you do not want to revisit again, but you won't know without pushing every piece of where you're going to get a tattoo. So I don't think we've gone too far. I think most of us are just surprised by what we were not expecting and starting to find a lot of what we don't want, which is great data. That's great information to inform where it is that we go with this. We don't need AI in our fridge, it's been regulating just fine. We're pushing the envelope to see what even makes sense. And I think that's necessary for anything, not even just AI.
We're going to take a cut and get these things charged up. We'll take a little break, stretch our legs out, get some water. Let's stop recording there.
Unphantom me.
What was the hardest challenge you've ever had to overcome in your life?
I go back to this one often because it was a first and it just kind of educated me on what was possible in life. Your first heartache, your first actual heartache is often difficult, and I'm glad I treated it how I did. There's no way that you can put a time limit on someone's healing. It was mutual. It was a mutual separation. Neither of us had similar interests, and we were growing apart because of it. And we have a phenomenal friendship, and that was more important to us than a sustained relationship. But that did not insinuate that we didn't love each other. We do care. It's for that reason that we wanted to split so that we could actually keep our friendship. I didn't realize how much I had put into it and how much I held on to sunk cost fallacy, where, I'd known this woman since we were in high school, freshmen, sophomores, and a decade plus later, I'm proposing to her. And, so it was a hell of a ride to even get there. Because of how much I loved her, it took me 5 years just to get to the point of realizing that if I keep going, I will be successful at getting over her. I had to actively make a decision to keep going. And that was difficult because I want to love her, but I only knew one way of loving her. So I needed to revert back to how we even started, how we began. And that was difficult. It took so much time. Funny thing is, I actually had to ask her to not reach out to me because I love her and I will pick up, and I need to give myself permission to call her out her name. I need to give myself permission to be mad at her. She's a phenomenal person. I would never do that to her, but I knew that I was going to be angry, and I knew that I needed to allow myself to have those emotions. That above everything was the most important because it hurt in a way I was unfamiliar with. Similar to the first time someone is cut with a large blade and it doesn't immediately bleed. It's unfamiliar, you're not sure what's about to happen, and you kind of freeze for a bit. That freeze happened for the first 2-3 years of our separation. I didn't know what I was feeling. It took a long time. After a decade, maybe I could, I can give this 3-4 years ago. I'd recognized I'm finally fully over her. It took a long time, and it wasn't easy in the slightest. I wanted to off myself numerous times. I found it very difficult to believe in love. I found it difficult to believe I deserved it. There was a lot of self-deprivation, self-harm, down talking of myself. I organically didn't believe I deserved any of what it is that I desired. And I needed to grow through her so that I had room to grow into me. That took a while. And that's when I finally started hitting the gym, so to speak. I went to school. I got deep into being an audio engineer, being a producer. I finally learned what it meant to focus on myself, but I also learned what I was not doing when we were in a relationship. That also tied in with my feelings for her, just showed me, it embarrassed me how long I had ignored myself. I didn't know what to make of that. I've been so much better with life after that, but I had never experienced anything like that until that point. It will take you out of any comfort zone you thought you had, and you will be lost for a time. And I think that's the scary part, is realizing you're lost in life and don't have an answer to something that seems so foundational and simple. Yeah.
What is a mantra or a philosophy that you strive to live your life by?
Javi, if you can actually do me a favor. Yeah. On the fridge, the left side, there's a big piece of paper held by a magnet. Pull the magnet to that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Throw that over here. Here we go. My favorite art teacher in the world,
when I went to SAE, she had us do essentially this. She said, if you were a business, if Pierre Incorporated was a business, what rules would be needed in order that you have to follow in order for Pierre Inc. to be successful? And I started to write rules, kind of like rules of operation, at a job that, follow these, be on time, clean your desk, these rules. And I started to write a list, and I said, 1, not a day will go by where I will accept my duty to the world as reasons to ignore my duties to myself. That philosophy, after I wrote that, I wrote number 2, and I never filled in a number 2 because this guy meant so much to me. Not a day will go by where I will accept my duties to the world as a reason to ignore my duties to myself. This is huge because we all have things we have to do to get by. I got to put gas in my car so that I can make it to the job that pays for the place that I stay. Sure. I realized that I'm not a business person, so I have to go to a job. I don't care about owning a business in this point in time in my life, so I must go to a job. I go to that job, but when I get home, no matter what it is, remember that you have to take care of yourself, whatever that means, which means you need to get to know yourself. You need to get to know what it is that you need in order for Pierre Inc. to run successfully. So as I spend that time, I recognize that, I like solitude. I like silence occasionally. I need to not feel guilty about who I am and what I offer, what I bring. And I need to know that I'm contributing something that I actually want to contribute and that it's not being taken from me. There's no reason I should be ignoring myself as I so commonly did in the past, because no matter what it is that I need to do for this world, if I need to take my mom to the doctor, if I need to take my brother to the dentist, if I need to take my dog to the animal hospital, whatever it is that I need to do, make sure that I'm still feeding myself at the end of the day. You need everything that you need in order to be able to give the world what they're asking of you. How did I learn to love myself? I did the opposite. I knew how to love others. I knew how to give to others. I knew how to be what others needed in a given point. I gave a lot in that regard. Eventually, you grow tired. And I believe that's part of where a lot of anyone that deals with self-harm and self-degradation, and there's a point where you just don't understand yourself and you are sitting in the lack of understanding. And that lack of understanding eventually causes harm. I'd been there for quite a long time, long enough that I knew very well, I grew to learn very well what it is that could hurt me. Like I could intentionally send myself to the negative world because I felt like eating negative foods. I felt like feeding the devil for a little bit. Early on, that was difficult because it would be hard to come up from that. But eventually I learned to survive through it. And after being there for so long, and when I finally started coming out of the relationship woes and I started to want to invest in myself, it was really a fake it till you make it. I found that I didn't want to feel how I was used to feeling anymore. And that was the realization that started everything. I didn't force it. I didn't push it. I didn't tell myself something I didn't believe. I just realized that while I was going to school, there was a day that I realized I was no longer sad. Or rather, I was no longer depressed. I have instances of sadness, but I'm no longer depressed. And I wanted to understand that in a way that made more sense to what was actually happening. I knew I wasn't depressed, but I couldn't say I was happy.
So what did that mean? What did that dictate about the rest of my life? And so I found what it is I didn't like, which made it easier to eventually identify what it is that I do like now that I'm cognizant that I'm even looking for what it is that I do like in the first place. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
How do I go about creating music? Music for me is it's a sandbox of possibility. Rather than thinking about just music, I like sound, and sounds do things to you. You know, from the gentle hum of a fan in the background to the sound of rain outside your window to the howling wind outside your door. There is so much that sound can contribute to mood. There are so many emotions that are manipulated easily just by the right sound at the right moment. It could be a crescendo happening, leaving an empty, vast space accented by reverb. And it makes you feel like suddenly you're alone. And so the exploration of just sound for sound's sake, like what does a compressor add to the texture of a sound and why? Like I'm interested in things that don't get songs done. But if you put enough of that together, if you just hold on to that knowledge while you explore sound, you know, it's just like I can sit here, you know, pick up the guitar, have no idea. But before I play anything, I used to always beatbox. So I was always making something inside me before I touched anything. I adopted that when I became a musician. So, you know, I'll have a color or I'll have a feeling. Maybe I had a rough day at work. A friend of mine doesn't feel great right now. You know, maybe my dog's sick. You know, I'll start with a feeling, or I'll start with a color, or I'll start with a sound. Okay, sure. Sounds okay. All right, go ahead and find it. And just allow yourself to just sit and see what that is. When you hear it long enough, you're going to have an opinion. And this is where knowing yourself comes in handy. Getting more intimate with yourself. Because, you know, maybe you're like, you know, just that. You start slow. You don't have to create. You don't have to have everything immediately. But don't kill your idea before it has time to develop. And you just try things. Just try things. Make mistakes. Go ahead. Didn't plan any of it, but it works. Make every sound, sit with it. I love sitting on the floor because it allows me, it just doesn't connect me to anything. I can make sound and just see what feels good. Does that? No? Go back. No? Yeah, that feels good. Now I know where I'm at. That's exploration. You just allow yourself without shaming yourself. Just time to see it. I get to play with all this theory I know. I have all this. I get to have all of this time, space opportunity just to see how else I can impress myself. How else? Going from yeah, it's man, I could go on, and none of it makes sense. But what I find is that starting from a nebulous cloud of nothing, and just making sound, getting used to making sound, not shaming yourself for making sounds that don't necessarily go together, because you may find something. And it may be simpler. You know, I used to suspect that I had to be the fanciest. I had to show my expertise and knowledge in every chord, but some of the most powerful music only needed 2 notes. So start with 2 notes. You can only reach so far on a piano. You can only reach so far on a guitar. So take your time. Start with 2, add a 3rd. If it makes you feel something, don't be anxious to leave. Sit there. Get used to sitting there. Don't be anxious to leave it. Don't be anxious to move it on. Don't be anxious to make it a product. Be okay with yourself. Be okay with the sound of something that doesn't yet exist, because that's what your emotions are fighting, is the fact that something does not yet exist. It must not be good. So I take my time and I find something that resonates with where I'm at in that moment. I have things that I love. Just feels so good. I will get lost every time. I force nothing because creativity is from the same place that your emotions source from. So when you create, you can't tell yourself what you feel. This is where I believe some people get disconnected from creativity, is that they're intentionally trying to create something rather than allowing their muse to be curious. Don't be afraid of spending time entertaining curiosity. Because once you know the rules that you're going to break, you could break them in whatever direction you want. Because as I hear this, I can attach to this. Ah. I will get lost in it more and more. Creativity is a sandbox. You're supposed to play. And I believe a lot of people forget how to play. And we're so insistent on the end result of creating that creating for creating's sake is starting to go to the wayside. Like, there has to be product. Creativity itself is play. It's enjoyment. And you should be able to enjoy what you want without someone else telling you what you should be doing with your own enjoyment. Such a good place to be.
That's the thumbnail right there. That's the thumbnail right there. I gotta make a note. Just boom.
What do I think artists should be doing to make change in the industry? Wow. To make change in the industry, we have to support each other. And that sounds generic, and it is because I don't have the answers. But what I do know is that we're not supporting each other nearly enough. People only go to shows that they're specifically invited to. No one goes to see the random person or band that they never heard of. They only go to where their friends are. A lot of just what people are involved in, they only want to be involved with their friends. They only want to be involved with people they know. That promotes the gatekeeping that eventually happens. So, for example's sake, musicians that want to jam and grow in a community, it's like people that know the theory and know what they're doing typically don't intermingle with people that are still learning. You know, I absolutely get with the knowledge that you have, you know, wanting to utilize it, wanting to have fun, wanting to throw 7, 12, 22 different chords into a jam session. I absolutely get it. But we leave people behind and expect them to catch up. And not everyone's looking for that. Some people just want to be, they don't want to be estranged from something they feel connected to. Like, people are people. So I don't expect, you know, this to be a major proponent of change. It's support. We are all capable of doing different things. Never, not once, have I ever felt incapable with the people that knew what I was capable of. Whenever my friends, whenever the cohorts that are in this field with me, whenever we get together, we allow the person to do what they're best at. We don't take that away from them. We encourage them. We even try to set them up with more opportunities to be themselves. Why? Because many of us, we want to be useful. We want to, you know, be encouraged. We want to feel like we contributed something. This is evident in when you're having intimate talks with someone and they are insistent on giving you their advice. It's the same concept. We want to be useful to someone. Really, collaboration and allowing people to serve their purpose. I mean, you're interviewing me right now. I have 2 cameras pointed at me. A lav mic, 3. I have 3 cameras pointed at me. And this is something I could not do on my own. You know, sure, I could get the cameras and I could set up the gear and get it, but there are people that are better than that and would love to help, would love to contribute to something I'm looking to do. So let people play their part. Let people be useful. Let people see what they can do if they're interested. And that sometimes involves allowing the person that doesn't know anything to sit just behind you, to maybe let them strum a singular bass chord and show them why one note is all you need to change the world. In the industry, like whether you're a musician, whether you're a technician, whether you're an engineer, like we are all helping each other do the same thing. And that should be okay. You know, if someone's trying to get their art out, a like is free, cheap. You can share it to your people. If it's not content you allow on your page, then either 1, you need to be a business, or 2, you need to unfollow them. Because how important is it really to manage your content if you're not selling something, if you're not a product yourself, if you're not an artist yourself? It costs nothing. And someone that you're not sharing it with may be a person that actually really digs what that person's working on. They may love the shirts they're creating. They may love the jewelry they're creating. They may have said, oh, I actually need a tapestry that looks like that. You never know, but you're gatekeeping because you need it to look a specific way. I want to show that you can do this and not follow rules and still get a result. The whole point is to figure out what you need to do to get better results. And if we're always following rules and never breaking them, we're never learning the extent of what we're capable of. If I could help someone feel more confident in what they were doing, if I could help someone to find themselves, find their own way of doing it, it may not fit how I believe it should. That's the point. That's the point. It's not about what I think should work. It's about giving you the confidence to understand that you can figure it out.
Am I worthy of success? The bigger that anybody gets in any business, the greedier they get. The cracks are certainly starting to show in the way that things have been built up. I just noticed a lot of people are very negative naturally. A lot of people.